So Elementor 2.7 for the free version has been out for a couple of weeks, and with it are a couple of really cool new additions. I'm going to give you my thoughts on those, and like I say, I'm a little bit late to the party on this one, but the reality is it's been covered to death in other things. I want to give you my take on it, but I also want to show you what's coming out in 2.7 of Pro. This is currently in beta, and I want to show you how this works alongside things like advanced custom fields, which, as many of you know, that's the area that I'm really interested in. So if you're interested to find out how you can use this alongside any kind of dynamic content, join me and I'll take you through all those new updates. My name is Paul C and this is WP Tuts, the channel where I help you get more from WordPress. If you'd like to learn more, click that subscribe button below and smash the bell icon to be notified every time we add new content twice a week. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and installed Elementor 2.7. If we jump over to the plugin section of the site, you can see I've got that installed, the latest version, and also alongside it, we've got the beta version of Elementor Pro 2.7. Now, with any kind of beta version, you just have to bear in mind there may be bugs, there may be quirks, and if you want to try this, which you're perfectly free and able to do if you have an Elementor Pro account, just make sure you don't use it on a live production site. Only use this on a demo site where you just test things out and there's no impact if things go wrong. So the first thing I want to take a look at is part of 2.7 for the free version, and that's this ability now to have animated backgrounds to any kind of element on our entire site. So we can easily create sliders like I've created here, we can have video backgrounds, and we can put those pretty much anywhere we can assign a background effect, which is a really cool thing because it kind of cuts out the need for dedicated sliders, and then we can put things on top if we want to. However, there are a couple of limitations and I'll go through that in a moment. Let's just jump back over into the dashboard and let's come into a page and let's see how we can create something like that. So I'm going to come into all pages and I'm going to show you how I've done exactly what we had on that home page, which is the ability to put that sort of slider at the top. So let's edit with Elementor. Once that loads in, I'm going to delete what I currently have there and show you how we can create this. So let's get rid of that. We're now ready to go in. So we're going to add a new section. We're going to set this to be one row column. Everything is in the way we want. We can now set this up for any kind of parameters that we want for the size, how it works on mobiles and so on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it, make sure it's active. We're going to come over then to the height. We're going to change that to minimum height. And I'm going to set this to something like 650, somewhere around there. Doesn't have to be exact in this example. So we've set that up, and obviously you can set this then based upon the type of device you're working with, desktop, tablets, and mobiles. If we jump over to the style section, we've got background like we've always had. We now have a fourth icon, which is the background slideshow. If we click on there, you can see we can now go in and start adding in images for the background. So let's do that. Let's click and add some images in. So we're going to come down and I'm going to choose these three images. So all I need to do is select those and create a new gallery as you would with any kind of gallery. We can reverse the order, reorder those, drop captions, whatever kind of thing you want to do. We'll insert that and we've now immediately made an animated background. So we kind of have a slider, which if we want to now we can go in and we can add anything on top of that. Now this is any section, so we could do whatever we want with this. This isn't a specific slider. So if we wanted to drop text in there, we want to change the way this actually animates, we can do all those kinds of things. If we want to take off the infinite loop, we can do that. We can also come down, change the slide duration, the transition. So if we wanted to, we could have things like slide left, slide right. Once that transition's over, we can also control the length and duration of that actual transition. So if we set that to be something like 200 milliseconds, we'll find that when it transitions, it's going to be a much quicker transition between the slides, as you can see there. We can also apply a Ken Burns effect. Now, if you wonder what a Ken Burns effect is, it basically means your image will zoom in or zoom out a little bit. So you can see it's a nice way of adding an extra layer of animation to grab people's attention. Obviously, you want to use this sparingly. You don't want this all over the shop. Now, these are the things that I do like about this. There are a couple of things that I think are missing at this point, and hopefully these will be addressed in the next sort of version of Elementor once they brought out Pro 2.7, the full version. I'd like to see dynamic content. Now, you know me, I like dynamic content as part of any kind of website, any kind of widget we have in there. If dynamic content is available, it's something I think is a very, very powerful function. This is missing it. Like I say, hopefully that will be addressed in the next version. So that's the animated background. We also have a couple of extra things that have been updated in this new version. We've been able to sort of use video backgrounds for quite some time, but they've been limited to YouTube videos. We can now go in and start using Vimeo links. So all we need to do now is simply drop in a Vimeo link for our background in the video link section, and you can see it'll immediately start playing. We can also control things like the start time, the end time, all those kinds of things can be controlled. We can play once, but we also now have the option to play on mobile. So if you have a mobile phone that's actually supporting video playback, we can use that in the background. So that's a really good thing and something I know a lot of people have been asking for quite some time. So we have those options now added in to the background option as part of Elementor 2.7. So that's the first of the updates that I wanted to cover in 2.7 of Elementor 3. The next one is the new dividers. So if we scroll down and we come back out to our widget section, we've had dividers in here for quite some time. So let's just drag and drop one in. But they've been pretty limited in what you can do. You had about 5 or 6 basic styles. Now we've got a ton more. So we've got a range of different versions we can use. We've got things like curved, for example, which we can then adjust all the normal things like the width of it. We can adjust various different aspects, but we can also go in and add in text if we want to in the middle of it, or at the beginning of it, or the end of it, whatever we want to kind of do. We can also go through and choose any kind of icons that we want to use. So you can see we can easily drop in icons into here, choose from the icon library so we can choose anything we want. So let's just say the subway one, for example. So that's a nice way of doing things. We can also use some dynamic content on here, so we could easily change this over and put dynamic content in for the text information in between. Currently, that's the only thing we can add the actual dynamic content into, but that's fair enough. There's not much else we want to do on this. So we do have a lot of different styles that we can choose from. You can see some quite creative ones. And if we come down to patterns, we can come in. We've got things like pluses. We've got things like rectangles. You know, so you can come in and start to really fine tune. So we can have trees in there, and then we can come over to the style section and we can adjust those. We can change the color on there. So all the things you'd expect to be able to do, we can do all of that. Include the gap and the text. We can change the color of the text if we want to, the font styling of the text, all those kinds of normal things. So we've now got a lot more options for the dividers. And that kind of wraps up what was available in the free version of Elementor 2.7. Some nice additions, but I do think they need some expansion, especially when it comes to the video backgrounds. Now let's take a look at some of the new features we have coming in Elementor Pro 2.7, which hopefully should be out within the next week or two. Let's take a look at that. One of the things I've been looking at for quite some time, and I'm glad to see is now actually being included in 2.7 Pro when it's released, is the ability to dynamically assign values to star ratings, progress bars, and so on. So if you see on the right-hand side here, you can see I've got my thermal efficiency and my ratings, a star rating, and a sort of your typical progress bar rating. All those values are being pulled in dynamically. So let me show you how that's all done. If we come back over into Elementor, you can see this is the template that I'm working with. We come back over again into a different section. You can see in my custom fields, I've got 3 custom fields that are specifically set up for those values. So project rating is for the star rating. That has to be in a number value. So when you set up your custom fields, whatever you're using with this pods, toolkit, ACF or so on, make sure you set that up to number field. And when you come down, you can see we can set a minimum and a maximum value. We're dealing with 5 stars in this example, so 1 to 5 is perfectly fine for that. Come back out of there. Look at the project rating title. So if you want to, you can dynamically assign the titles to any of these as well, which is again another nice addition to see in there. And again, purely optional. So we've set that to text. And the third and final one is the efficiency rating, which we're going to use for the progress bar. I'm not going to set a dynamic title for this, but you can if you want to, in the same way that we can with the project rating title. And again, what we've done is we've set the values for a minimum of 0, maximum of 100, and I've set a step size of 1, so we can put any value between 0 and 100 in there. So with those set up, we come back over into our template. We can now go ahead and start putting these different sections in. So let's come over and just do a search for star rating. And we're going to drag that over to the right hand side. We'll drop that there, and I'm just going to quickly open up my navigator to make sure that I've got everything in the position that I want. So we're going to come down, adjust the position of that. There we go. So that's in the right position. So you can see it just default pulls in the values and everything is being assigned inside the widget itself. Now we have the option to use the dynamic. So we're going to click on dynamic. We're going to scroll down. You can see we have ACF fields available in there, and we can now click on the little wrench icon and we can set a key value. So we're going to set that to project rating. We're going to come out of that. We're going to come down to the title section. Again, if we wanted to, we could manually type in the title. So if every single time this star rating is going to apply to the same thing, you don't need a dynamic title. However, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you how you can assign that. So again, we come into dynamic, scroll right the way down for this, and come to ACF fields. Then click on the little wrench icon, come down to the key, and we're going to set this to project rating title. You can see that now pulls in the title and the star values, so everything is now being assigned dynamically, and if we want to, we can come in and we can just change any of the values on here. So we can adjust the typography, so we want to change the text color, you can see we can change that. We can assign the styling to it, all the things you'd normally expect to see inside the styling options of Elementor. So that's pretty cool. I like the fact we have that now. And again, you can, if you wanted, the rating is 0 to 5 in here, but you can set it to 0 to 10. I would like to see some more options in this so we could fine tune it to get exactly what we want. We may be using something outside of that 0 to 5, 0 to 10 rating, but for now, like I say, I'm more than happy to see the fact we have dynamic content included. There's the first one. Let's come back out of here and let's come in and we're going to go through and we're going to search for progress bars. And there we go, we'll drag and drop that underneath, so we position that where we want. And again, you see we now have dynamic values for the title, dynamic for the percentage, and also dynamic for the inner text, which is what we'll use where it says web designer. So if you have values you want to change inside this, then you could easily come in and fine tune and tweak that. So we're going to stay, this is going to be thermal efficiency rating. Type. You can see we can set whatever we want in there. To be honest, I don't really deal with those side of things for something like this. Percentage, we're going to change that to dynamic. So again, we're going to come down, choose ACF number field. And again, like I say, it has to be a number field. Scroll down, efficiency rating, and you can see that now pulls the value in of 94%. I can change the inner text there. So I can just put efficiency. But you could dynamically insert that value if you wanted to as well. And then we can come in and we can just go in and fine tune the colors, the styling, and everything else to do with this. So we could easily come in, copy the styling on there, we'll paste the styling down there so our text all matches. We'll adjust the height of our little progress bar, we'll set that to 20, and there we go. So you can see very quick and easy to be able to go in and change those and now assign dynamic values. So one of the things I'm really happy to see this addition in Elementor Pro 2.7. Now, if we take a look at the GitHub for Elementor Pro 2.7 beta, we can see underneath the dynamic capabilities, dynamic numbers, which is what we've just currently been looking at, is not restricted to just the star rating and the progress bars. Pretty much anywhere that has access to using numeric information, we can now pull in dynamic data. So things like price lists, price tables, sliders, and so on and so forth. So just bear in mind that there's a lot more to it than just the two that I've just covered. And custom key fields, we're going to take a look at that a little later on in this video. The next thing we're going to take a look at is the new gallery option. Now, there's a couple of things you can do with this. You can use it as a static gallery, or you can use it with dynamic content created through something like advanced custom fields. I'm going to show you both methods. And what I'm going to do first of all is create a page that will feed through to the new gallery. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply drag up a portfolio item. Once I'm inside there, I'm going to come down to the query. I'm going to set this up to use the portfolios, which is a custom post type that I've created that'll hold the images for the different kinds of galleries that I've got. So once I've dropped that in there, these now will link through to the relevant template that'll show the new gallery. So what I need to do is simply update this. Then we're going to come out of here and we're going to go into our template section. So we're going to come into the templates and we're going to come into the theme builder. And once we're inside there, we're going to create a new single post type. So you can say add new single. Single is perfectly fine. We're going to choose this to work with the portfolio, which is, like I say, my custom post type for my portfolio of images. And we're going to call this single portfolio. Create our template. And once we've created our template, we can then go through and insert the new gallery module. So we'll close this down. If we scroll down on the left-hand side, underneath the Pro section, you'll see we now have this new gallery layout, which allows us to see that it has more features available than the standard Elementor Pro gallery. So we're going to drag and drop that into our page structure. And you can see what happens now on the left-hand side is we're given a range of different tools we can use in settings. So the first thing we have is single and multiple. Now this is 2.7 beta 2. Now I recorded this with 2.7 beta 1 and the dynamic options weren't available inside this new gallery. So this is something that I'm glad to see that they've introduced before they released the final version of Elementor 2.7 Pro. So let's take a look at the single option first. We have dynamic and we can go through and we can just choose the dynamic information we want to use for this. So single is perfectly fine. We're going to come in, choose dynamic, and we're going to say ACF gallery field. Once you've done that, we're going to come down and click on the little wrench icon and choose the key field we want, which is the portfolio images. Now, like I say, these are what I've set up inside my custom post types and ACF. So everything is set up in there, and you can see now we have our gallery being pulled in dynamically. I'll demonstrate this in a moment once we've gone through and set up some styling on here. So we have a couple of layout options. We have grid, which is what you can currently see. And once we choose grid, you can see we can choose the number of columns. So we can set that to 3 if we want to. And you can see it pulls in an aspect ratio. Now, the nice thing with this is we can adjust the spacing. We can adjust the link, the kind of things you'd normally expect. What we can also do is adjust the aspect ratio. So if you have a specific kind of format that you want to work with, then you can choose that directly inside here. So we have a lot of options. We can use 1:1. You can see that'll update 3:2, 4:3, 9:16, 16:9, 21:9. So depending upon the kind of image that you're inserting into your gallery, you can control the aspect ratio that's associated with it. This is something I really do like about this new gallery. We can also go in and adjust the quality of the image to make sure that everything looks the way we want it to, nice and crisp and sharp. Okay, before we move on to the overlay section, let's take a look at the other layouts we have. If we come in, we've got grid, which we've just seen, justified, which will justify the images across the actual layout. And finally, we have masonry. Now, at the moment, all my images are the same aspect ratio, but if you had portrait and landscape and square and all those kinds of things, then what you'd see is these images then would look nice and neat and tidy, the kind of layout you'd expect to see on something like Pinterest. So it's nice to see that we've got a range of different options we can choose for our layouts alongside the actual image size and the image ratio, depending upon the kind of layout we choose. I really do like this new addition. Moving on to the overlay section, we have a lot of really nice options inside here as well. If we want to, we can enable or disable the background, and we can style that through the Style tab. What's also got, though, is the title and the description, which actually works with the rollover effect. So you can see when we mouse over, currently nothing happens because we've set nothing for the title and or description. So what we can do is we can click and we can choose whatever we want to pull in from the data that we associate with any image inside our media library. So let's just say we want to use the title to be title and the description to be description. Now when we mouse over, you'll see we now get the information that's associated with that image inside our media library. And like I say, it's very easy. We can easily come in here, we can change this to whatever we want from any of the options available, or disable it completely, which is quite nice. So we may just want to have the title and nothing more. Well, we can just choose to display only that. So those two settings alone, and the fact that we can pull in dynamic data, open up a ton of creative possibilities with the new gallery widget inside Elementor 2.7. So let's quickly save and test this page. We make sure the display conditions are set up, save and close. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to our test site. We're going to refresh the page and scroll down and we'll take a look. So there's our galleries. So we're going to click on the buildings gallery, click to go over. And then that shows us the new gallery widget that we've just set up. If we mouse over these, you can see it gives us the overlay and also the information that we specified to go with it. So that's how we can use dynamic data to create a single individual gallery. Let's take a look at a filterable gallery next. Let's insert the new gallery widget. We'll drop that into our page structure. And this time we're going to choose a different type. We're going to come down, we're going to choose multiple. Now this opens up a slight different range of options. You can see all the normal things that are still there, so the aspect ratio, the overlay and all that kind of thing. But we've got galleries. So we click to expand, you can see we can dynamically set the values for the title and the actual content of the gallery itself. For this example, I'm going to keep this really simple and we're just going to use just input information just to show you the other methods. So let's just go and choose a couple of images for this, create our new gallery, insert our images. We'll change the name of this and we'll put this and we'll call this buildings. We'll add another gallery in. This time we're going to rename this and call this people and choose our images. And again, do the same thing. So we're just going to choose a range of images, create our new gallery and insert those images. We now have a filterable gallery. We have all the same controls for the overlay. We can come into the filter bar section. We can enable or disable the all filter. So you can see that we'll just get rid of that completely and only show us the filter then to see the specific galleries. We can re-enable that if we want to, and we can change the text on there. So we can say all galleries if we want to and change that to whatever we want. Very quick and easy. We can change the pointer to what we want on there. So we can set it to framed if we want to, and that'll change the styling. And obviously we can go into the style section and control exactly what happens there. We can also control the animation to say exactly what happens when we mouse over any of these gallery links. So it all works in a very nice, simple and straightforward fashion, but it does open up a lot of more creative possibilities with the new options we have and the two different kinds of galleries, and also linking that through to advanced custom fields or any other kind of dynamic data opens up some real nice opportunities. Now, another new addition, if you use the posts option when you're building out your website, which I do quite a lot, we've always had classic and cards as option for the skins, which are quite nice. We now have a third option, which is full content. So we click on that, you'll now see we get the full content of any of our posts listed. So if you've got one of those kind of layouts where you want the entire post to be listed, like a blog, for example, then you can use this. From a personal point of view, I can't imagine many use cases where I'd want to use this, especially for the fact that it doesn't actually pull in the featured image at the top, which is kind of a little strange. However, the option is there should you want to use it. For me, I don't really think it's something I'd have a lot of use for, but it is there should you want it. Now, another one of those little tweaks that does make life a lot easier if you're working with advanced custom fields, pods, and so on, is now we can use the raw meta tag and pull in the data from it. So if it's not supported, we can still utilize the data. So let me show you what I mean. If we just drag this text editor in and drop that, come to the dynamic option, and we're going to come to post custom fields as opposed to going to ACF at the bottom. I'm going to click on there, and you can see we've got select at the top for the key. Now, we've had that there for quite some time, but what we didn't have before was the custom key below. So what we can do is we can easily just drop in any of the names of the custom fields that we've created, any of our meta fields, and you'll see that immediately pulls up the data that's stored inside there. So we can now reference those directly inside using by the post custom field settings and assigning our own custom key field in there. So this is something, like I say, looks like a small inclusion, but can have a big knock-on effect if you have a site where you need to use data that's not directly supported inside Elementor itself. Now, other nice little feature that you can use inside your templates or if you're creating accounts and things along those lines is we can now dynamically assign the information for the user profile picture. So we come over and just drop in an image. We can now come over, hit the dynamic option, and we have user profile picture. Click on there, that'll pull in any kind of gravatar image you've got associated with your currently logged in account. So if you're creating an account page for a user, maybe for e-commerce or something, you can now assign the user profile picture and make it a little bit more personalized. So a nice little feature, something that is, not everybody's going to have a use for it, but anything that's dynamic, anything that opens those possibilities up is good in my books. Now, there are various other little tweaks and enhancements to Elementor 2.7, the Pro version. And I'm not going to cover it in this video because I don't think they're as important for the dynamic content as what I want to cover. And these are pretty much being covered in everybody else's videos, but I'll go over them for brevity. We've got MailChimp tag support. So now if you use the online forms within Elementor itself, Elementor Pro, you can now utilize the tags as part of MailChimp. With MailerLite, if you want to, you can access the resubscribe option when you associate that with your MailerLite list, which again is pretty useful if you are using that to build out your emailing list. And finally, we've got the mini cart function if you're using WooCommerce. So you can now have more control over your own mini cart template and creating that, so you're not limited to just working with whatever your theme supplies. So those are the basic things I wanted to cover. Most of the things we featured today are to do with dynamic content, or what I'd like to see have dynamic content. As always, I'd love to get your feedback on this. What do you think of these new improvements that are coming in version 2.7 of Elementor Pro? Anything you'd like to see in there? Anything you think is kind of really exciting? Let me know in the comment section below, because I'd love to get your feedback and see how you think this latest release is going to fare. As always, all the applicable links are in the description below. Some of those are affiliate links, so if you purchase anything using those, it costs you no more money, but it does help support the channel moving forward. As always, my name has been Paul C. This has been WP Tuts, and until next time, take care